LSU. LSU, after the impressive victory against TCU, really didn't have any trouble at all with UAB. Just wanted to show you this weird play. 59-yard field goal attempt by the Blazers, tying long. Odell Beckham's going to take it more than 100 yards back to the house. Now, Zach Mettenberger in this game, 5 touchdown passes. That's an LSU record. LSU, everybody says, nobody's paying attention to LSU. Pay attention to the half. 56-17. Good-looking team. I'll tell you another team that's sneaky in the Big Ten is Northwestern against Syracuse. Northwestern beat Cal. Kane Coulter, who missed most of the Cal game after being concussed early in it, finds Trayvon Green. Northwestern up 7-0. The other quarterback, Trevor Siemian. Siemian would find Dan Vitale. Oh, Vitale! It's unbelievable! Super scintillating, sensational! Vitale. Brendan Reddish would take it. He's going to love that one.
I know.
He's a PPP, baby.
He's probably texting you right now.
Coulter was 15 of 18. Siemian 15 of 19. Northwestern wins it 48-27, the final. A Sports Illustrated investigation alleges that former Oklahoma State assistant and now current West Virginia assistant coach Joe DeForest paid players for performance as recently as 2011. All of the allegations occurring at Oklahoma State. This is part of an investigation into the Cowboy program detailed in the Daily Oklahoman on Saturday. It alleges that coaches and boosters paid athletes, paid team hostesses to have sex for recruits, and that there was widespread drug and academic abuse. Now, a spokesperson for Oklahoma State said that the series in Sports Illustrated is not expected to reveal any major NCAA violations involving current coaches or current players. Under that backdrop, Oklahoma State took on Texas San Antonio, coached by Larry Coker. Coker, by the way, Mike Gundy's assistant coach when he was a quarterback here. J.W. Walsh finds Josh Stewart. And the Cowboys just a little bit too much for the Roadrunners. J.W. Walsh inserted as the starting quarterback. He can move it with his feet, Coach.
I sure can. Obviously, there's some people think athletes ought to be paid.
56-35, Oklahoma State wins it. Now, you mentioned the West Virginia component to that investigation. There is, the guy with the cap is Joe DeForest. The guy in question, West Virginia Athletic Director Oliver Luck, says West Virginia's launched an internal investigation into this. Mountaineers taking on Oklahoma. Dreamius Smith going through the Sooners' defense, going 75 yards. Remember, the Mountaineers struggled with William and Mary last week. They were up 7-0. Oklahoma still down 7-3. Trevor Knight, the new quarterback, finding Trey Miller. And the Sooners are able to surge on top. Wendell Smallwood is going to get stuffed, and Oklahoma takes it 16-7. In light of the Johnny Manziel situation and others, many are saying it's time for college football players to be paid, including Counselor May, who is now before this court.
Your Honor, coaches are making millions of dollars. Players are generating multi-millions of dollars for the university through memorabilia, through jerseys, through hats, and players should be compensated for bringing extra money to their universities. Now, if you take the Olympic athletes, they have legal representation. Why not give the players legal representation? Because go out in the public, find some corporation that they can endorse and be paid like Olympic athletes. I think that's fair. I think college athletes, not just Olympians, but regular college athletes, football players, basketball players, baseball players, should be allowed to sign with corporations and make the extra money off their name. It's their name. They're going to have their name for the rest of their lives.
I think that's absolutely absurd, Your Honor, and I hear a lot of people on TV talking about it. They don't know a doggone thing about it. Let's look at the facts. First of all, a young man receives a $50,000 a year scholarship. In addition to that, they can receive a BEOG, Basic Economic Opportunity Grant, which gives them $4,500 a year in spending money for transportation, clothes, cleaning, which is far more than I ever had in college. Let's look at where the money goes. First of all, it goes for scholarship for all sports, including women. I'm talking about track and center. It pays for their coaches. It pays for their travel, all the other things. Where else does it go? It goes to the facilities, to the weight rooms, things like that. In addition to that, I could list many, many. Much of the money then is turned back to the university. I personally know at the University of Notre Dame, we turned over $1 million at the university, which was then given to scholarship. All the money from NBC TV goes to scholarship for athletic student. I could go on and on. Let me say this. They get an opportunity to be adored by millions of fans. They get their picture up on the stadium. They get in the Hall of Fame.
We're talking about two different money piles here. The money you're talking about comes from ticket sales, television revenue. Councilor May's talking about generating a new pile of money. Are you against that?
I am against that.
Why?
Because let me understand this. The reason that there's so many rules by the NCAA is there's a rule of life that's an abuse, measure, restriction. All the coaches try to find a way around the rule in order to entice an athlete to come to their school, etc. I think that you're there to get an education. I've never had a football player that didn't think he got a great education, would have played the game for free. And the book just came out. Where are they now? Where are the football players after they graduate? I have 19 of them in that book. They're successful.
I'm ready to rule. I don't disagree with anything you said, Councilor Holtz, but you haven't persuaded me one iota. What in the world would compromise their education if they were able to sell their own memorabilia, hold their own autograph?
No,
this court rules the Councilor May.
And that's what the heck's wrong with this country. We have people think like that and stop looking. It's all about money. It's not about people. Not tired of it.
Did you get a raise from the time you were the head coach at William & Mary to the time you were the head coach at South Carolina?
Most I ever made at Notre Dame was $135,000, and that was after 11 years. Let's not talk about money. Let's talk about education, what it's all about. If you want to work, go get a job.
Other than that, how do you feel about it, Lou?
You mark me down undecided.
I'm gonna show you the weirdest game you've ever seen.
All right, so you just saw, Coach Holtz. He's still got it going on here in the talk radio version. Post-game or event discussion of the OMSR Gen 4.0. I am your host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Feeling much better than this morning, thank you. Watch out for those boomerang hangovers. It's a nasty first step. Watch that first step, type 2. All right, just to remind you, the OMSR is a show. We abide by what's called the DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, covers fair use, standard, minimal use, and derivatives. This is a pro bono sports show. Definitely adhere to those key tenets. So all the video highlights courtesy of ESPN. Everything else to the OMSR. All right, so back to the final verdict. And a subject we discussed quite a bit back on the channel, on the playlist, the spring games and such, as to should there be more, in what form, yada yada, compensation for college players. And when you listen to Coach Holtz talk about it, it's, it reminds you what college athletics are all about. But by the same token, you could argue that, okay, well, if that's sort of the standard, then why not just increase it a little bit for the athlete? $50,000 scholarship a year? I don't think so. I don't think, frankly, that's what it is. As I remember it, back when I was attempting to get my scholarship through the walk-on process, helps if you don't blow up your ankle before you even get started. It was like $864 some odd dollars, or $684. A number like that is what was left over as a stipend for monthly spending. So the rest of your scholarship for the year, your tuition, your room, your board, your books, it's not 50 grand at most of your public Division I universities. But that's what he's quoting. He's definitely more in the know than I would be. But it'll definitely be an issue, much like the college playoff system, and we finally have one of those. So this, it's much more impactful if there were to be any changes. All right. Thanks for watching those silly DUIs while you're out there.